Hi, my name's Bonnie. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I make a white beans and rice recipe. I'm doing this recipe as a part of the open playlist collab that Mindy is hosting on her channel, See Mindy Mom. I'll link the playlist down below, so please check it out and see what we've all created together. The theme of this playlist challenge is a $5 dinner, so stay tuned to see how I created a budget meal prep for under $5. These are the ingredients I picked up for the recipe challenge. I got all of these for under $5 at Walmart. It was a bit of a challenge. Some of these ingredients I've never used in white beans, including this classic ham steak. I've never used that, but I was able to fit everything in under $5. To start off, I got a pound of navy beans. You could use another type of white bean. You could use red beans if you wanted, but I picked up the navy beans. They were the cheapest variety of white beans. They happened to be a few cents cheaper than the others. I also got a bag of white rice. They were out of brown rice. I got 1 pound of white rice. Honestly, this recipe is traditionally made with white rice anyway, so not a big deal, but you could substitute brown rice if you preferred. And then I have 1 onion and 1 bell pepper to season. Always onion, always bell pepper in my recipes. You could also add celery if you had some. It wouldn't fit into the $5 challenge, so I just left it out. Not a big deal. And classic ham steak. This is the part of the recipe I've never done before. I've never used this type of meat in a white beans recipe or a red beans recipe for that matter, but it'll be fun to experiment, see how it goes. This was the only meat that I could find that fit into the budget. So we've got 5 ingredients under $5, and I'll show you the recipe. Here's the receipt. As you can see, it came in at $4.85. I had to go to Walmart. Walmart was the only place that I could find that was cheap enough here in the Seattle area. So I got the Great Value long grain white rice for 72 cents a pound, 1 bell pepper for 73 cents each. The onions were 48 cents a pound. I bought 1 onion, it was 28 cents. And dry beans, the dry beans were $1.14, and the classic ham steak was $1.98 for a grand total of $4.85. And here are the add-ons that I had on hand. I always have olive oil on hand, Tony's Chachere's as usual, Italian seasoning blend, and parsley flakes. I chose these 4 because they seemed like seasonings that a lot of people would already have in their seasoning cabinet. Just to add, I really cut corners for this recipe to keep it within the budget. But if you want to know how I would traditionally make white beans and rice or red beans and rice, hop over to my channel. In the next few weeks, I'll do a video with the full array of ingredients that I would normally use, so you can see how I would do it if I weren't trying to keep it within a $5 budget. To start, you want to soak the beans overnight. Sift through them to look for any rocks or stones. Then add about this much water, just an inch or 2 over the beans. You could add way more if you want. You can't go wrong adding more. Better safe than sorry. But this will allow the beans to soak up the water, and they'll be softer to begin cooking tomorrow. This is how they look in the morning. They've been soaking overnight. As you can see, the beans have expanded. They're softer. They'll be easier to cook this way. So this is the onion and bell pepper that I chopped. It's 1 yellow onion, 1 bell pepper. My rule of thumb is 1 bell pepper, 1 onion per pound of beans. If I were to do half a pound of beans, I'd do half an onion, half a bell pepper. That's just the ratio I find works. It's easy to remember. 1 to 1 per pound of beans. To begin, I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil down in the pan. Just about 2 tablespoons maybe, more or less. You can always add more later if you need. And then I just go on to add the onions and bell pepper and let that start to saute in there. Stir it around a little bit and let it get to cooking. I chopped up the ham steak into little cubes about this size. I've never used this type of meat before, so we'll see how it goes. So I'm cooking it on kind of a medium-high heat, but I'm watching it very carefully to make sure nothing starts to burn. I'm just letting the onions, the bell pepper, and the ham kind of cook together and begin to brown. So just to show you what it looks like when it starts to brown, you can see here the onions and the bell pepper and the ham are all starting to look brown, kind of like what the word means. And you can see they're kind of translucent. The onions are translucent. At this point, I've added the beans and the water. I poured out the water that the beans were soaking in, and I added fresh water. I added to be about 2 or 3 inches above the beans. Then I added my seasonings. Of course, I added Tony's Chachere's, Italian seasoning, and parsley. You could add whatever seasonings you like. I actually usually add a lot of other seasonings that I left out for the sake of the challenge. So as you can see, a lot of the water has boiled out. You just don't want it to get so low that it sticks to the bottom. I'm just going to add some more and bring the water back up to the same level. So here we are about 30 minutes later. It's come back to a boil, and I'm just going to let it boil until a lot of that water cooks out, stopping right before it gets to the point where the beans start to burn and stick to the bottom. So here we are getting to the end. I've added some more water after it all boiled out. As you can see, there's some black specks. I kind of let them cook a little too long before I added the water. So lesson learned, you don't have to do a lot for beans, but you do have to watch them and just keep adding water so that they don't stick to the bottom. So now I'm gonna add the second round of seasoning, Tony's Chachere's as always. Just sprinkle it right over the top. I just go back and forth over the pan 3 or 4 times. Now I'm adding Italian seasoning. I just do the same thing, just sprinkle it liberally over the top of the pan. I don't measure anything when it comes to seasoning. And then I'm adding parsley. You could add fresh seasoning if that's what you prefer. I just keep the dried on hand. Here we've arrived at the end. This is the finished product. It looks so good. The water is all boiled out. I turned it off, and I'm just about to serve my plate. First, I'm gonna just take some, add it over the rice that I've put in my bowl, the fresh rice that I just cooked and just took out of the rice cooker. Adding a second scoop because it looks so good. Now I am ready to dig in. Et voilà, on va manger. This looks so good. I'm ready to eat it. Okay, so here we are. The beans are ready, the rice is ready, and I'm ready. So I'm going to show you the finished product. There it is. So, taste test. It's good. I could even maybe add a little more Tony's. But I know you guys probably think I'm crazy adding all the Tony's and all the seasoning, but I like a lot of flavor in my food, and we did cut corners here in this recipe for the sake of the challenge, which was kind of fun to see, like, how could I do if I couldn't buy what I'm used to buying. We kind of had that situation earlier this year. Sometimes I'd go to the store and the things I was used to getting weren't there. So it was a good challenge. I decided to go with the ham steak. I was just gonna leave it out and just do like a vegetarian red beans and rice or white beans and rice and just leave the meat out entirely. But I thought, no, let me challenge myself and try to find something else and make it work. And it worked. It's good. A little more kick in that bite. So I'm gonna finish up this bowl. It's the end of the day. I don't have a whole lot left to do, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more of these types of videos.